Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk all about BMAT Section 3. I'll give you a few of my top tips as to how you can do as well as possible and get a fairly decent score that will give you a good chance of getting into the top BMAT universities that exist around the world. Before I continue, I'd like to say thank you to Medify for making this video possible. If you haven't yet done so, go and check out their fantastic BMAT question bank that has got a huge number of practice questions, from physics questions to chemistry questions to critical thinking questions for Section 1. So really go check them out. And as I've done in the past two videos, I've given away a few BMAT passes for Medify, and I'll do so in the next video that comes up in this series. So anyway, check out Medify by clicking the link in the description down below, and let's get to the video. Section 3 is a section that's overlooked by many students in the BMAT. And usually many go on to get scores of 5.9 in Section 1, let's say, and 6.4 in Section 2, and then a measly 2A in Section 3. People don't realise that preparing for essays is easy, but just takes a bit of time. And so, here are my top tips as to how you can improve your Section 3 skills ahead of the BMAT in a few weeks' time. For those of you really eager to know them, number 1, it's learn how to plan an essay. Number 2, know the exact timings of the essay and how you're going to use your time to write the essay. Remember, you only have half an hour. Number 3, start writing practice BMAT essays today. Don't leave it any later. And number 4, make sure you get used to answering all parts of a BMAT question, answer all the sub-questions, because if you don't, you'll be struggling to get a score greater than 3 in the BMAT Section 3. So just want to quickly define what a good score is in the BMAT Section 3. So for those of you who don't know, the BMAT content-wise is marked between a score of 1 to 5, 1 being terrible, 5 being very good, and usually the average score that people get is 3. A score of 3 entails that the content you have put down answers the main question title and all the sub-questions that have been asked subsequently. The grammar and spelling is then marked from a scale from A to E, and that depicts your ability to write coherent, grammatically correct sentences with minimal spelling mistakes. So I'd say a safe and competitive score for Section 3 is a 3A. Section 1 and Section 2 are far more important to try and get high scores in, but Section 3, if you do get a high score of a 4A or a 5A, that is an advantage, but not as big of an advantage as getting a super high score in Section 1 or 2. With that aside, let me quickly get to expanding on my 4 tips for you to help you maximize your Section 3 score. So number 1, learning how to plan is a really important part of doing well in Section 3. So the BMAT Section 3 has always been a time-pressured part of the exam. You've got 30 minutes to write an essay, and this includes choosing a question, planning it, and checking it over. This year, you all are doing the exams online, and you're capped to a word limit of 550 words. Now the issue is, a half-an-hour essay that's 550 words long is actually quite short. However, the questions they give you are very broad. And so having to answer such broad questions with such little space requires a lot of thinking and organised thoughts. So when someone says planning, it's not about writing down the first few thoughts that come into your head as soon as you see a question. It's about thinking of a few meaningful and valid points that support each side of the argument. And a broad perspective, generally on medicine and topical issues around medicine, will help you build the ability to come up with different ideas that go towards and against a suggested argument. So do some reading, watch some videos or documentaries on YouTube, and try and get a good understanding of common opinions on relevant topics within medicine. So what I suggest you do to try and improve your ability to plan effectively is just start planning. Every day, find your BMAT essay task, and try and think of 3 points for the argument and 3 points against the argument. A very chill exercise, just thinking of different perspectives. And make sure that the different points you think of for and against the arguments are very different, distinct points. You'll find that in the first few days this is quite difficult, but the more and more you practice, the more and more you read and watch videos and documentaries about topical issues within medicine, you will start to notice more and more ideas and perspectives flowing in as you carry on with this. When you are planning, don't try and include lots of medical science in your BMAT essay. The BMAT essay is not a scientific essay that's requiring you to mention anatomy, biology, and chemistry. It's an essay which tests your critical thinking, debating, and arguing skills, and try your best to eliminate any unnecessary scientific detail. So go away and improve your planning skills. The second point is all about timing. The BMAT essay gives you 30 minutes to do everything, from planning to writing the essay. And so I suggest that as soon as you see the question choices, spend 2 minutes choosing the right question. For those of you applying to medicine, it'll be very straightforward and just choose the medicine choice. Usually it's a fairly broad question that you can answer reasonably easily with a bit of thought. Now spend 5 minutes really planning the essay, thinking of, like I said, 3 main points for and 3 main points against the argument. It's really important that you think of these main points before you start writing. So in total, for choosing the question and doing your basic planning, that should be 7 minutes. Now I'm a strong believer that once you've planned your essay well, you won't need more than 20 minutes to actually write up the 550 words of essay content. So leave aside 20 minutes to write the essay. Then lastly, you probably have worked out you've got 3 minutes left. What do you do with those 3 minutes? Well, spend those 3 minutes looking for spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, make sure you've got commas in the right places and full stops in the right places, and you've capitalized letters in the right places. These basic things, if you even miss out once or twice, might cause your letter score, which depicts your spelling, punctuation, grammar, to drop down quite significantly. So just to summarize, when writing an essay, 7 minutes for choosing the question and planning, most of it goes towards planning, then 20 minutes to simply write up the essay, which will be very easy since you've planned it well, and then you've got 3 minutes just to quickly check over the essay and make sure everything looks good and is ready to be submitted. Try your best to avoid adding in new points as you're writing. If you've planned it coherently, then there's no need to add in new points whilst writing. The main issue in adding points whilst writing is that you'll very quickly find yourself running out of words to write the other points that you've mentioned for, let's say, the counter argument or even your own perspective on the whole issue. The third key tip for section 3 is start writing essays today. Your exam is just about 3 weeks away, and if you think that you can quickly develop the ability to write a 500-word essay in half an hour, then forget it. You won't be able to wing this. By forcing yourself to start typing essays now, you're going to find it very difficult to meet this half-an-hour limit and to write a good essay within half an hour. But you'll notice that as you do this again and again, as you start practicing over the next few weeks, you will automatically adapt. You'll work out where you're wasting time and where you can use time more effectively to ultimately write a reasonably coherent essay in the given time limit. Now, when I'm saying write essays, really don't spend half an hour just writing the essay. Stick to only 20 minutes to write up the essay and then give yourself around 7 to 10 minutes to plan the essay. If you're sitting there typing for half an hour, that's very unrealistic because most likely you therefore haven't planned the essay and thus your thoughts and ideas won't be coherently put together. Now, after you've written your essays, please try and get someone to look at them, whether they are your friends, and I strongly recommend that you go and find your English teacher at school. They are fantastic at knowing what a good essay involves. I personally went to my chemistry teacher at first and they had no clue about what the BMAT essay required, and they were recommending that I put chemistry in there, and I was like, wait, this isn't really relevant to the question title even. So English teachers, even though they don't have the actual medical background, they know how to structure an essay, how to put forward good arguments, and how to maybe blow the other counter arguments out of the water to therefore give a nice conclusion of your own. So really go and ask them for help. Maybe get back in touch with your school GCSE English teacher and try and send them 2 or 3 essays a week over the next 3 weeks that they can look at. Now, if you are writing more essays than that, let's say 1 a day, don't overwhelm your English teachers. It's better off that you send them a few a week and actually get the feedback on them than you overwhelming them with loads of essays and then getting no feedback at all because your English teacher had no time to look over them. Now, the fourth key tip is make sure you learn how to answer the sub-questions of the BMAT question. As you've probably noticed, a typical BMAT essay sort of has a statement by a certain person, and then it asks you to define the statement, and then give arguments for that statement, give arguments against that statement, and then most usually it asks you to give your own opinion on this matter. So if you simply just answer these 4 sub-questions relevant to the title, then you're going to get a 3 guaranteed. And most of the people who fail to get a 3 simply get that because they haven't realized that it's so important to answer the question. It's so important just to answer those 4 questions. Even if you write 4 distinct paragraphs, simply defining the statement in one paragraph, writing 3 arguments for the statement in the second paragraph, writing 3 arguments against the statement in the third paragraph, and then writing a conclusion that favors the 4 arguments or favors the against arguments, that simply will get you a 3. And in this video, I'm not going to try and tell you how to get a 4 or a 5. I'm simply trying to get you a good score in section 3, a score that's acceptable. Anything less than a 3 is usually considered a bit dodgy by most universities, even by universities that are less stringent, and you might end up being below the cut-off scores that universities such as Imperial College put down for students' BMAT scores. So hopefully this video has been useful. If you have found it useful, then please give it a big thumbs up, and also go and check out Medify and their BMAT question bank. It's fantastic, and as I've always said, I wish I had such resources when I was revising. I was simply studying from books back when my BMAT was happening. Now also, please do expect quite a few BMAT Study With Me videos being released this week. I'm doing section 1, section 2 sciences, and a section 3 Study With Me video series, and I think all of you will really enjoy that. And so, yes, keep up to date, subscribe, press the bell icon, and you'll be up to date with all of my latest videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon in the next video. Cheerio.